Hi there, Market Insights watchers. Well, we're recording today's webinar on Friday, May 10th. Now, in Market Roundup, does the latest economic data point to a Fed rate cut? We'll see. And tech megatrends representing a new opportunity in the AI universe. Stay tuned for that. And in Crypto Corner, well, it's all about Consensus 2024. Ian will share his thoughts on what consensus could mean for, well, Ethereum. So take a listen to that. So with that, let's get started. Hello, Ian. How are you? How are things going on your end?
Good, Amber. Just getting ready for a little trip to Baltimore next week to meet with some of our other publishing colleagues. So that's why we're recording this on Friday.
Yes, I know that sounds like a good time and very productive time. So I hope you have a good time there. Well, Ian and everyone in Market Roundup, bad news for the broader U.S. economy is actually means good news for stocks. Now, anticipation remains that the Fed will cut rates this year as weaker than expected economic data continues to post. For example, on Thursday, May 9th, weekly unemployment claims for the week ended May 4th rose to the highest level since August. Initial claims increased 22,231,000. The median forecast from Bloomberg, a survey from Bloomberg economists, predicted 212,000 applications. Now, on this day, stocks rallied on the news. The S&P gained 26 points on May 9th. Meanwhile, from the president and chief executive officer of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, Raphael Bostic, he had an interview with Reuters, and he said that the Federal Reserve is still likely on track to lower interest rates this year, though, quote, the timing and extent of the cuts, of course, are uncertain, end quote. And if cuts do happen later this year, Bostic does see it being a single quarter percentage point cut. And Ian, just before we started recording today, we had the consumer sentiment numbers posted. Take a look at this chart. U.S. consumer sentiment declined in May to the 6-month low as short-term inflation expectations and just, worries about the job market picked up. The sentiments actually fell to 6.4 in May from 77.2. So, and then we have a lot on the calendar for next week to look forward to as well over Tuesday and Wednesday for PPI and CPI numbers as well. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to put more emphasis on what we're seeing today on Friday. A little bit of reversal here in the market. The Michigan number came in showing economic softness. Also, prices paid being up, which is, this concern about stagflation. But again, the market has been up pretty significantly in the last couple of weeks. So, I think any little bit of news that the market didn't want to see would cause a sell-off. One thing that I've been following, Amber, I just want to bring to everybody's attention is Bank of America put out a note last week saying that the idea of sell in May, go away, that maxim doesn't really ring true, especially during presidential election years, which we have, of course, this year. And they went back to 1928 and ran all the data from June to August. It's actually the second strongest 3-month period of the year for all years going back to 1928. It shows the S&P 500 up 65% of the time with an average return of 3.2%. But guess what? In election years, it gets even better. The S&P 500 in election years between June and August is up 75% of the time with an average return of 7.3%. Now, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist here, Amber, but, if you're running for re-election, as we have somebody who's running for re-election now, you're going to pull any possible strings you can to make the economy and the markets look better than expected. And, I think that will probably be self-fulfilling. And I do think we'll see a nice little summer rally here. And also, I would just caveat with what I said last week. The CPI is coming out this week, PPI as well. Last week, that CPI number was a little bit hotter than expected. The one indicator that people were worried about was auto insurance. So the auto insurance component showed a 22% year-over-year rise in the CPI. Eventually, you will not see that rise anymore in the data because, auto insurance is not going to continue going up 20% year over year. It starts to flatten out. And when that does, you'll see a meaningful drop in the CPI. And I think at some point this year, will have a sub 3% CPI reading, which I do think the market will really like.
Okay, well, we'll stay tuned for that.
Mhm.
Now, in tech megatrends, now uh, you've been hearing a lot from us regarding all things artificial intelligence. And today is no different because new analysis from Bloomberg Intelligence shows a new opportunity within the AI universe that's still in its early stages of a potential $2.5 billion market. So, Ian, I just had to share this with everyone. That opportunity is AI Ethernet. That's AI Ethernet. Now, first, the Ethernet is like a superhighway of data on your computer network. It's the system that lets devices like our computers, our printers, routers talk to each other. Now, imagine a network is a city, and the Ethernet are the roads connecting the buildings. Well, when you send an email or watch a video on your PC or on your smartphone, the Ethernet helps make sure that the data gets where it needs to go fairly quickly as well as efficiently, like cars on a highway. So right now, there's a major company that stands to benefit from the rise of the AI Ethernet, and that company is Arista Networks. Now, according to Bloomberg Intelligence, quote, Arista is in the pole position of the $3.6 billion AI networking sales market in 2025, with the back end network accounting for $1.5 billion. Now, the Ethernet based AI opportunity is still early, and it's dependent on the development of an ecosystem of optics, interconnects, as well as smart NICs used in data center networking, et cetera, as well as collectively a $2.5 billion market, all be told there, according to 650 Group. So progress in Ethernet is robust, with 4 of the 5 hyperscale cloud providers actually selecting Arista Networks for trials and pilots, which should lead to larger production scale deals in 2025, end quote. So this means that for us market insights watchers, that AI Ethernet development could be a windfall for Arista and Arista adjacent companies. So in our latest investment team call, we've actually already discussed recommending a hand-picked Arista adjacent stock for the Extreme Fortunes trading service. Now, that stock pick, it should be forthcoming, maybe forthcoming. And so to make sure that you don't miss out on that recommendation, I would like you to please check out Extreme Fortunes today. It's a premium trading service that Ian oversees, and it swings for the fences with these small cap type stock picks. So just click the bull icon right here over my shoulder to get all those details, or the link in this email accompanying this video. So Ian, what do you think? We were discussing Arista.
Yeah, I mean, Arista had great numbers this week.
Mhm.
They've been stealing market share from Cisco, which many people are probably familiar with that company
Yeah.
for years now. I think that the key here is really understanding that at the center of all this,
Mhm.
there are what are called hyperscalers of AI, and that's Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook.
Mhm.
These companies are spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year to build AI networks.
Mhm.
And, most people, when they think about AI, they think it's limited to NVIDIA's chips or AMD's chips. But the reality is, you got to be able to move that information from one place to another. So, upgrading those networks the way that the information moves is going to be key to the future of AI. And I also think that, when there's just a massive amount of money and moving in one direction, there's opportunities everywhere along the space. All these different companies throughout the spectrum are going to see their earnings improve over the next couple of years just because of this basically, tidal wave of funding that's coming into the AI space from the hyperscalers. So, what Arista told you is that this AI spend is not slowing down anytime soon. In fact, they actually said on their conference call that it's at an inflection point,
Mhm.
and the pace is actually starting to pick up.
Mhm.
So that leaves me very optimistic about the future for companies across the whole spectrum. And I think the higher risk, higher reward plays are definitely in the smaller cap arena, which is what we focus on in Extreme Fortune. So thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, you're welcome, Ian. Thanks for connecting those dots. So let's move on to Crypto Corner. It's very exciting. We have Consensus 2024 starting, Ian, correct, in Austin, Texas, later this month.
Yeah, so Consensus is the biggest crypto conference of the year. I've been going since 2015. They used to have it in New York. They moved it to Texas a couple of years ago. One thing I can say about the Consensus meetup is it's very mainstream now. So I remember back in 2015, Amber,
Okay.
you would go and it was a lot of like, kind of crazies driving around in Lamborghinis and now, and then for a couple of years there were, more and more the suits would start showing up, right? Because like crypto has gone institutional. There's more venture capital investing in there. But now it's like pretty mainstream, like the conference is open to anyone. They have people from the Congress speaking at it, some other like well-known people who you might be familiar with giving keynote presentations. But heading up to Consensus in the past, it's basically an Ethereum-based conference. So Consensus was started by a company that builds applications on top of Ethereum. And the one application you probably are familiar with is MetaMask. That's what Consensus, the company, built. And then they have this conference as well. There's always been this Ethereum trade leading up to it, where Ethereum has rallied into it because you have a tendency for new projects that are launching on Ethereum to basically bring you the news at this conference. Very similar to how oncology conferences work, right? When you have, like, let's say ASCO, which is a oncology conference, you have a lot of the biotech companies that are making immunotherapeutics for cancer start to rally ahead of it. And so what we've seen in the past ahead of Consensus is Ethereum has actually moved up into it. Now, I don't know if that trade is still worthy, but definitely something to watch as we get closer to the Consensus event at the end of the month. So that's the big news in crypto. I'll be there. I think Andrew is also joining me as well, so we'll be sure to report all the news from this year's event.
Yes, I'm looking forward to hearing the reports back. So exciting there, Ian. Well, that's it for this week, everyone. Thank you very, very much for watching. You want to share a question or a comment with us, please email us at marketinsights@bannonhill.com.
Thanks, Amber. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.